My name is Jordan Kretchmer, founder and CEO of Livefyre. At Livefyre, we spend all of our waking hours in San Francisco obsessing about how to increase engagement and build community on publisher content. And so as of today, we work almost exclusively with publishers, digital media companies, entertainment companies on doing just that. And what I'm going to talk about today is the realities that are facing the publishing industry right now. And the first part of this is going to seem maybe a little depressing. That's not the point. The point is I really just honestly want to call out the issues and really the challenges that most of you here in this room face on a daily basis, and talk about what I think is one of the most important components in solving that, which is building community around your content. I'm going to talk about why I think that's important. First, harsh reality. Distribution has become democratized. No longer do you control the distribution of your content. This is the first time in history where a publisher creates content and doesn't control how it's distributed, where it's distributed, and how it's monetized after it leaves the after it leaves the printing press. And in this case, the reason this is important is because if you don't control the distribution, somebody else does. And in this case, it's the social web. It's Twitter and it's Facebook. And this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a new reality that hasn't been adapted to yet. The second is that nobody cares as much as they used to about where they get their content from. This is especially true in like breaking news. When Bill Clinton does an awesome speech at the DNC, people are more likely to click the first link that comes into their Twitter feed and TweetDeck than they are to go to their favorite publisher, because a lot of the content is the same, right? Because content has to be produced so quickly now, that a lot of the links you see here, and in fact, some of the times people are clicking links that they don't even know where it's going, right? It just is the first one that came in, or it came from a friend that they trust more than the friend at the top of the feed. And so it's almost luck at this point. And because distribution has become democratized, and you don't control it anymore, your shit's piled in with everybody else's shit, okay? And that means that you have less control over how that happens. Now, an interesting fact, this was in journalism.org, 77% of the traffic to the top 25 news sites came from users who visited just 1 or 2 times, right? So in the top 25 news sites, there's even more ubiquity than there's ever been. The second big reality is that there's a new problem that's emerged that I call feed frenzy. People want more, and they're not happy until they get more, and more, and more. And I don't know where this is going to stop, but the problem with feed frenzy is that it's built because of content ubiquity. People want more, so you give them more at a lower quality, higher quantity. And what that means is if it's a lower quality, then the content you're producing is even more similar and ubiquitous to the person next to you. And so these problems feed on each other in this terrible downward spiral where producing more content means less quality with less resources, which means you're producing content that's more like everybody else's content, which means you get more feed frenzy, more your content ubiquity. It doesn't stop. And this is bad for everybody. Lack of scalable monetization. Nobody's figured this out yet. Digital first media went bankrupt, again, for a second time yesterday. And this was a huge shock. They own hundreds of local newspapers. And so for the second time, the life of those newspapers are in jeopardy. And so again, a problem, and I don't actually have the solution for this. I'm just calling it out as a problem. Ad revenue for publishers is down 43%. And this is a tough stat I have to read it. In 2011, losses in print advertising dollars outpaced the gains in digital advertising by 10 to 1. You guys aren't even getting close to replacing revenue, okay? And meanwhile, Twitter next year is going to double revenue to $540 million. Some sources say over $1 billion by 2014 in revenue. Twitter's growth is skyrocketing in revenues, in scale, and numbers. Publishers' growths are dwindling. And the reason why, one of the reasons why, the reason I'm going to talk about mostly in the last half of the presentation, is because they're capitalizing on your people. They're taking your content and your people, and they're taking those interactions away. So people are interacting with each other and distributing content and having conversations on Facebook and on Twitter. And again, this isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just a reality that nobody's really adapted to yet. And the end result is Twitter is making a whole lot of money on an asset that publishers for the last 5 years have been giving to them. So, quick recap. People are on your site reading and watching stuff you spend lots and lots of money creating. the money you make from those people is dwindling because you guys are still looking at them as eyeballs, right, which are passive. They're not looking at them as people who interact with each other. You're looking at them as getting revenue from them on a CPM basis. And you're handing all of those people to that guy. Again, not terrible, except he's making a ton of money on those same people because he's creating a place for them to interact with each other. So the thesis is version 2.0 of how content companies deal with social media is getting your community back, creating ways to gain value out of the people who are sharing and talking about your content within your own walls. Community gives people a reason to come to you instead of click the first link. If I love the Wall Street Journal, right, because that's where all my friends are who I talk to about politics. If I love Fox Sports, because that's where all my friends are that I talk to about the Dallas Cowboys, then at the end of the day, what you have is a real reason for people to not just click the first link in their feed when they see news about Obama, but to go to the Daily Beast, right? Because that's where their friends are interacting with each other. We're humans, after all. We're pack animals. We love other people. We want to know what other people have to say. We're voyeuristic. That will never go away. Some key ingredients to creating really active and growing really active communities, and this is not easy. In whatever time left I have, there's no way I'm going to really get into everything that we should be doing to do this. But one of the key ingredients is real-time. Real-time is vital to creating a human experience. Without real-time, people are refreshing pages, people don't care, there's no presence. That idea of presence is so important. There are people here, they are interacting with each other, they are creating content together. That is vital to get people to want to come back and stay. An example that I use just from my own company is American Idol last year did not use Livefyre. They used a static solution. This year they used Livefyre, which is a live, real-time, interactive solution to handle all of the conversations about their shows. During the finale last year, they got 1,500 comments on AmericanIdol.com. The largest, highest-rated television show in history got 1,500 comments during the finale episode. This year, they used Livefyre. Sorry for the plug. There were 25,000 comments in the 2-hour finale this year on American Idol. The only difference was they used a real-time solution. That doesn't even include all of the comments that we helped aggregate in, one of the next points I'm going to make, from Facebook and Twitter that skyrocketed the overall count of interaction on that site to over 80,000 in 2 hours. Other key ingredients, surface user interactions. If people are interacting but you don't show other people that people are interacting, people don't know people are interacting. And so The Sun is a really great example of surfacing tons of community created or socially created content. And they actually have a whole page dedicated to things like quote of the day, where they're editorially selecting the best comment from the day and featuring it on the homepage. And they do the same thing sort of in a secondary fashion for other comments. The other thing you can do is stream relevant content by topic. Don't just put recent comments up on the page, right? Put comments that are relevant to that page that they're on. So if they're on a page about North Korea, stream the best comments happening right now around your site about North Korea. Feature the users, feature their content that they're creating. The result there is sort of like a snowball effect is what happens. It doesn't happen overnight, but the more it happens, it grows and grows. A really cool example of surfacing user interactions is Sports Illustrated. Just launched a really, really cool integration where they're curating content from around the social web and comments happening on their sites and featuring them in a way that they become sponsorable. So Hyundai and Nissan are actually sponsoring these pages on Sports Illustrated, and there's hundreds of these pages all over the site where they're using curation and real-time content creation to do this. And all of these pieces of content are interactive. Become the center of the conversation. And so this is a really, really hard one for especially high-quality content producers to swallow. Sports Illustrated, again, is an example, high-quality editorial content. But what they're also doing now by integrating real-time social data, whether it's user interactions happening on the site, or whether it's aggregated from Twitter or Flickr or Facebook or wherever, if it's relevant to their content, they're bringing it all to one place, making them the center of that discussion as opposed to just another cog in the wheel. Right? And so this is really, really important when it comes to a publisher being sort of the end-all, be-all for the kind of content that's being created. But no matter what you do, you have to engage people. right? And so break the mold a little bit. You have to be really creative when putting these kinds of programs together. In this case, an interactive map where people can comment with each other based on their location, and then scrub it based on the timeline, organized by sentiment, right? Give people really interesting views to what other people are doing around your content. BlogHer did something really, really cool a few months ago where they syndicated one conversation across all of their network of sites, and then sold a whole program around the content being created. So again, we're talking now about new revenue streams, trying as best as we can to solve that 10-to-1 ratio gap in revenue that you guys are seeing, right? So monetize the social content, just like Twitter and Facebook are monetizing the social content, by creating experiences on your own sites that are similar to the kinds of experiences people have elsewhere. If you're going to do live blogging, this is a huge new trend, is live blogging. A lot of our customers now are live blogging almost on a daily basis. Don't just live blog. Live blog and make it interactive. Let people interact with each other and reply to each other within the context of the content that editorial is creating. Another tough pill for a lot of people to swallow, but it's something that's really, really important when it comes to making your live blog about the new Motorola announcement more interesting and exciting than the live blog on another site about the new Motorola announcement. And the last thing is, change things up a little bit. Make it more visually interesting. This is like a Pinterest-style board of all the things that people are saying about the WWDC conference from around the web. Each one of these pieces of content make it interactive. And again, so that's what I've got for today. Any questions? Thanks.